Hello guys, I'm Fizzy and welcome to another AOR GT3 Elite League race on the Project Cars game. This is the highest out of the two leagues we've got on the PC for this series at the moment, and we are here for the 5th round of 6 this season at Brno. I am not completely sure if I'm saying that correctly, B-R-N-O, Brno, or something like that. It's a Czech circuit anyway that I must admit I have never driven at before this race, and to be honest I hadn't actually heard of it at all before seeing it was on Project Cars. And for me there was a little bit of an issue going into this race, which was that I had pretty much not been able to practice at all for this race due to lack of time, and as you can tell, well, as you can imagine, that is a bit of a problem when you go onto a new track that you have never driven at before. So what you're watching at the moment is my best lap from qualifying as usual, but you can also probably see that I am not driving the fastest I have done at the moment. Like I said, barely had time for any practice, so literally I started practicing probably 30 minutes or even less before the race, to be honest. So I mean, this quality session is basically practice for me. I'm still trying to get used to where the corners are, still trying to figure out the braking points, how much speed I can take through the corners, the racing lines and everything. I'm just trying to get used to the track before the race actually kicks off, because that's when I need to know what I'm doing to at least not, you know, be crashing into people. So yeah, not really the most ideal situation going into the penultimate race of the season. Obviously, we're trying to make my way further up in the table as well. Going into this race, I am of course sitting in 6th place in the Drivers' Championship, with a 12-point gap down to 7th, who is Michal 7M, a Czech driver in fact, driving his home race at this circuit. And I am 11 points behind Andrex, currently in 5th. So he's still hopefully within reach, and of course, as I mentioned at the end of the last video, with the Onage having pulled out of the league, there is obviously a chance to catch him as well. I believe he's currently 18 points ahead of me in the table, so I would need 6th place or higher in this race to guarantee passing him. But here we go then, qualifying 11th on the grid for my first ever qualifying session on this circuit, which, you know, that 6th place that I need is kind of looking a bit unlikely at the moment, but yeah, 2.6 seconds off pole, at least that's closer than I was at the first race of the season, which was that Road America track that I actually did know beforehand. But yeah, let's just get into the race then. 13 drivers on the grid, and the lights are coming on, and I am a bit nervous because, as I mentioned, I've never done a race at this track, and the car ahead of me has gotten a great start. And a few people have gotten really bad starts, but I feel like I got a pretty average start, but I managed to pass one guy who was Michal 7M, actually, the guy behind me in the championship, who is driving his home race here. One of the 3 Czech drivers in the league, but he's passed me back straight through turn 1, because I am looking really shaky, I have to say. I was just not able to carry the amount of speed that I really needed through turn 1 there. A little bit cautious, I guess, just not being fully used to the track yet. There is the car. It looked like a McLaren on the grass there. I'm not completely sure who that was. I think it might have been Andrex UK, who is the guy in 5th place in the championship, who is also driving the McLaren. So I do believe I've just passed him, which could be crucial. But having a little look at Michal now, I'm not really aiming to be too aggressive at the start of this race, as I kind of forced Shekeli behind me a little bit on the curb there. But he wasn't properly alongside, so I'm sure he won't be too happy about that. But now I'm understeering very wide there. I mean, I'm just not carrying enough speed, and Shekeli, a Hungarian driver, I believe, has just taken so much more speed through there, taking the inside line into this corner, and back down to 11th, the position I started in, as we have done around half a lap at the moment. And as you can see there now in the bottom left, we have Andrex behind me, and he's the guy I am aiming to catch in the championship. So let's try to stay ahead of him at least. But yeah, I'm not looking too fast as it stands in this race. Just trying to get myself into it, into the rhythm. Still just getting used to the corners. Obviously, it feels a little bit different from qualifying with heavy fuel on board as well. But mainly for me at this stage, with how few laps I've done around there, it's just about getting used to it and just getting into the groove and become more comfortable around the track. As Andrex has had a little look here on the outside. He's braked a lot later than me, but luckily for me anyway, he looks to have run a little bit wide, so I managed to stay ahead. Man, he tried a pretty optimistic move on the outside there, but didn't quite pull it off. But his pressure has made me fall a little bit further off Shekeli, but we've skipped 2 laps on now, and I've caught back up to Shekeli now at the start of lap 4, and he's still sitting in 10th, so I am still in the position I started in, haven't lost anything at least. I mean, there's only 2 positions I could have lost, and one of the cars is struggling quite a bit. There's one guy pretty far behind. Shekeli has had a poor exit out of turn 1. Oh, he looks to be defending a little bit, but then he kind of went back to the right, and I've gone up the inside now into turn 2 or 3. I'm not completely sure about the corner names on this or numbers on this track, but I've gone up the inside, taken that position ahead of Shekeli now, with a little bit of oversteer to be wary of as well. And but now I need to be wary. I've gone quite defensive, to be honest. I mean, I don't know why I went that defensive there, because Shekeli didn't really gain too much of me on the straight, but just to make sure I've defended the inside line to stay ahead. So, as we've skipped a little bit further on, you can see Shekeli behind has fallen off a bit, and there's a battle between 2 Czech drivers ahead of me. Mikal 7M trying to pass Maisie CZ. 2 Czech drivers battling it out at their home track, which is pretty cool to see. Obviously, quite an international league, as I mentioned in the first race. We got, I mean, only 5 out of the 13 drivers in this race are from the UK, which is quite an unusual rate for an AOR league anyway. As Maisie now trying to regain the position from Mikal, trying to go around the outside of maybe turn 3, I don't know. But anyway, but it's had to back out of it, and as a result has carried less speed onto this straight now. So maybe I can have a little look, but no, he seems to be defending, and I didn't really gain too much on him on the straight, so would have had to be an almighty dive bomb if I were to have any chance of passing him there. So we'll sit behind and see if we get an opportunity to pass these guys if they keep battling. I mean, we've skipped a little bit further on now, just a tiny bit, and Maisie is still just ahead. So we had one car, I'm pretty sure that was Poppleton, who left the session. Sadly for him, I'm pretty sure he disconnected some kind of error with his connection or his game, not completely sure, which is a shame, of course. Poppleton was not too far ahead of this trio I'm in at the moment, so anyway, shame always to see drivers disconnect. That means, of course, for me that I move up to 9th place now without having to do anything. But now Maisie has lost a bit of speed on the straight. I've tried to go up the inside, but wasn't confident enough really on the brakes to pull it off. Maisie, though, has had to take the outside line, which is not ideal, and now I've cut back on the inside on the main straight here, the start-finish straight, coming down towards turn 4, what am I saying? Turn 1 to start lap 7. We've got the inside line, so just got to make this work and not carry nearly no speed through turn 1 again like it is at the start of the race. At least this time I've got the inside line, and Maisie has slotted in behind me. So I moved up to 8th place there. So at the moment I have gained 3 places on my starting position, and it's actually starting to look a little bit better for me in this race. I mean, I'm pretty sure at this stage of the race I felt like I was starting to get a little bit more comfortable with the track, getting used to the corners more. And you can see a couple of cars not too far ahead, but man, Maisie has carried a lot of speed through that corner, and it was putting me under pressure there. But I managed to defend at least. And yeah, as you can see, Mikal ahead has actually pulled away quite a lot, and he eventually ended up getting past Pedro RC, who I then caught up after a few laps. And he, like me, is driving the McLaren, and he looks to be struggling a little bit actually at this point. He qualified quite a bit further up than me on the grid, but now in the last few laps has fallen back down, and I'll be able to catch him up. So he is possibly starting to struggle a lot with tyre wear, as am I, to be honest. We're coming towards the halfway point of the race, and as usual, that is the point where the tyres are really starting to drop off, and the performance of this car, especially the McLaren, that is hard on the tyres, isn't at its best. And we now have a great opportunity to potentially pass one of my McLaren teammates, Pedro here, up the inside of turn something that I have still not managed to figure out, and he, under pressure, has gone very wide, and he looked to be having a little bit of oversteer through the corner there as well. I mean, I thought I hadn't been able to pull it off because I didn't get close enough on the braking, but now we managed to go around the outside for the next corner to pull that move off, and Maisie has actually followed me through, and he's gotten really close here. Maisie on the inside, but once again a little bit too far back. So, man, I'm holding on, and I'm now up to 7th place, and Pedro has lost 2 places in the space of a couple of corners there. Not ideal for him. He seems to be really, really struggling at the moment. And funnily enough, this is kind of the continuation now of the three-way battle that we had at Nürburgring, which was also with Maisie and Pedro when I was battling them for pretty much the entire first half of the race, until the pit stops sadly put us apart. And Maisie, man, he's looking so fast all of a sudden. I mean, clearly that roof isn't struggling as much on the tyre wear as this McLaren is, which I'm not surprised to hear, because the McLaren, as far as my experience goes, is the worst on the tyres. And Maisie just goes up the inside, as I took a pretty wide line and just couldn't get it turned in. So Maisie now up to 7th, so pretty much this whole order has just turned around. Pedro is now at the back of it, and Maisie is ahead. And now then, coming into the final chicane on the 14th lap of the race, out of the 28 lap race, so we are exactly at a halfway distance of the race. And I am going to go into the pit lane. Pedro follows me behind, although Maisie though stays out for another lap. There's a few other cars in the pits as well, and here we go again with that annoying pit procedure, which was not working properly before the recent patches, where the tyre pressures just didn't save, meaning I had to adjust them manually in the box. And as I then went back saving that strategy, I also put the fuel down to not fill any, but as you can see in the bottom right, the mechanics, the invisible pit crew is filling me up with fuel, which is taking absolute ages. Seriously, I'm sitting here several seconds filling up fuel, which I don't need, because I had already enough fuel left in the tank to go to the end of the race. All I needed was a tyre change, but since I wasn't able to get that pit strategy settings done in time before I parked in my pit box, they just decided to start refueling my car anyway. So that has not worked out well. Pedro is way ahead now. He did not get any issues, and Andrex, who was behind me, has also passed me.
Your lap times are dropping. Let's get back on it. Come on, push hard. You can do it.
My lap times are dropping, according to the engineer. Maybe that's because I was sitting 20 seconds in the pit box when I didn't need to. But anyway, I'm going to calm down. We still have a chance at getting something in this race, especially because on the next lap I see Maisie coming out of the pits as well, just ahead of me. So clearly he was having the same problem in the box with the fuel adding that I had, unless he actually started with less fuel and didn't have enough to finish and had to refuel, but I don't think that was the case. So yeah, although Pedro now is quite a bit ahead and has basically won this three-way battle in a way, I am at least been able to battle Maisie now, which is, oh, as I was going to say, it was no longer for 7th, sadly, but as I said that, there was 2 cars in the pit lane who actually passed, one of them being Mikael 7M, who was ahead of me before the pit stop as well, so he must have had some kind of issues as well, potentially with the fuel adding issue, but also something else, because he seems to have lost even more time than me. So the pit stop's just shaking everything up, which is kind of why people were getting a bit annoyed with it, because they weren't working too well at this stage of the game. Obviously this race happened over a month ago now, so I believe it's much better now. But side by side with Maisie here, as you can see, and he has managed to defend very well into some corner, which I still don't know the number of, and he's holding on well there. As I have run very wide over the curb. Do not want to hit that curb too hard, because that could really unsettle the rear of the car, but I managed to keep hold of it and keep it pointed the right way. So we're starting at lap 19 now, battling Maisie for 7th place still, with Andrex not too far ahead, but I am absolutely all over Maisie, so I kind of want to get past him so that I can try to maybe charge after Andrex, who I really want to beat, needed for the championship, as I've said. So let's see now if we can manage to get a run on Maisie out of this corner now. And we have managed to get a great run actually. And up the inside, Maisie has not defended the inside this time. And let's see if we can get it done under braking. Down to 2nd gear, hitting the apex. Maisie slots in behind, a little bit of oversteer. And we got 7th place in the bag. Well, not in the bag, because Maisie's still just behind. But we got 7th place for now. And Andrex is still pretty much 4 seconds ahead, you can see him there. But then, skipping onto lap 23, and we have managed to catch right up to Andrex and get it very close to him, under braking as well for this corner. And now he seems to be struggling a little bit, so I've really got my motivation up to try and pass him there, because as I said, I needed for the championship, and he is in 6th place. So that would be a great result, to be honest, considering where I started, if I could get up to 6th. And man, I love that corner I just went through there. You could really just push it through the corner. I maybe pushed a little bit too hard because it got oversteer through there. But Andrex once again defending really heavily on the inside, going into the final couple of corners of the lap. So I've tried to set up my line to get as good as possible of an entry onto the straight, and we've gotten really close to him now. Oh, getting very close. He looked to be slowing down a little bit there, actually. I do believe he might have actually slowed down for me to let me go past, because he didn't want to battle me hard. Maybe a little bit, maybe we were struggling a little bit with the car, maybe some kind of issue, and potentially was worried, of course, of Maisie not far behind, and maybe doing a teammate a little favor. But of course the teammate situation isn't really as intimate as you'd see on games like F1, for example, where you got 2-man teams, and here you got, like, you can have up to 6-man teams. But now on lap 26, there's only 2.5 laps to go, and Andrex has suddenly started to look quick again. He was really all over me through that section, but I've managed to nail these couple of corners to get a little bit of breathing space again. And Nazu's now skipped onto the final lap of the race. It's only a few corners to go, only those 2 quite big chicanes coming up before the end of the race. And Maisie has caught up to us again, and he's right at the back of Andrex. Andrex is right at the back of me, so it's all about just getting into the finish line now, not make any mistakes, and I would be finishing P6. I mean, I know it says P7 in the bottle left at the moment. That is a bug. I am certainly P6 at the moment, but Andrex is getting closer on the straight, going into the final chicane. Not close enough to challenge though, so I just need to stay focused. Tyre wear, of course, is an issue. The car is not feeling good at this stage of the race, but I managed to get it round the corner and onto the start-finish straight and over the line to finish P6 after starting P11, just ahead of Andrex, man, who pushed me hard at the end, and Maisie as well. And that was a lot of fun, and a great result, in my opinion, considering where I started, how little practice I had. 1.5 minutes though on race time away from the winner, Brownsky, who once again is looking supremely fast, and I'm pretty sure he actually wrapped up the championship for himself with that win because of Martin van der Bent's very disappointing 9th place. Actually, I believe he also had some issues, because I can't remember passing him at any point, so he clearly had some issues maybe in the pits as well. But yeah, you can see it there. Brownsky 62 points ahead of Martin van der Bent. There is 50 points for a win, of course, so he has wrapped up the championship. Well done to him, absolutely deserved. He has looked a supremely fast GT3 driver all season long, and I did actually get the 20 points I needed to pass Onage in the championship, so I'm now up to 5th, but Andre's still ahead of me though by 8 points now, and with 22 points down to the next active driver in the league, which is Mikael, who is followed by AJ, and then Maisie, and then RC Monster, aka Pedro RC. And shout out to Son of Mo as well there in 12th place, who got a podium here at Brno after 3 DNFs in a row. He has really been suffering lots of issues earlier in the season, but he managed to get on the podium here in the Czech Republic, which is nice to see. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that pretty much wraps up this race here at Brno, the penultimate race of the season, of course, in the GT3 Elite League on the PC platform. And I have to say I really enjoyed that race. I went into it, of course, with very low expectations, given the little practice I had. A completely new track for me, and it was actually really enjoyable to kind of just gradually feel like I got quicker throughout the race, because that's what happened. I felt very uncomfortable at the start of the race, but as the race went on for an hour, I just felt like I could gradually push a little more, and hopefully that showed in the results. Moved up 5 places from where I started, and with some good battling as well, which is really what it's all about, to have fun on the track. So yeah, next time up is Silverstone, the last race of the season. I'll have to try and beat Andrex there again for the 4th place position in the championship, and I hope you'll join me for that one as well. So yep, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.